You know that strange feeling that washes over you when you sense that something important is about to happen, but you can't put it into words? That deep intuition whispering that your life is about to change in ways you can't even imagine yet? You're not making it up. Carl Jung dedicó décadas de su vida a estudiar los patrones invisibles que conectan nuestro mundo interior con los eventos externos que experimentamos, y what he discovered could completely change your perspective on love and profound human connections. Hoy vamos a explorar 7 signos que, según los más profundos principios de Jung, indican que tu alma gemela se acerca. Y te advertiré you right now that you're probably already experiencing some of these signs without realizing their true meaning. Before diving into these signs, you need to understand something fundamental about how Jung viewed relationships and the concept of the soulmate. For him, finding that person with whom we share a deep connection is not a random accident or simply the luck of fate. It's the result of an internal process of transformation that Jung called individuation. This process is like an invisible preparation of the soul, where you become the most authentic version of yourself, and only when you reach certain levels of this development does the universe conspire to bring into your life someone who resonates with that specific frequency of your being. It's as if your psyche sends a signal to the outer world, and that signal attracts exactly what you need for the next phase of your growth. The first silent sign is perhaps the most paradoxical of all, and precisely for that reason, most people completely misinterpret it. You begin to feel a deep peace with your solitude, a genuine comfort in being with yourself that didn't exist before. And here's the fascinating part. It's not that you've given up on love or resigned yourself to being alone. It's exactly the opposite. Jung entendió que la desesperación para encontrar un compañero proviene de lo que él llamó la proyección de nuestra sombra y nuestra ánima o animus, conceptos que sound complicado, pero que lo explicaré de una manera que hace perfecto sentido. When you desperately seek someone to complete you, what you're really doing is searching for parts of yourself that you haven't integrated, aspects of your personality you've rejected or don't yet know. You're looking outside for what should be inside. But when you start to experience this peace with your own company, when you realize that being alone doesn't mean being incomplete, something deep is happening in your psyche. You're integrating those fragmented parts of your being. You no longer need someone else to fill voids because you're learning to fill them yourself. And here comes the magic Jung discovered. The universe responds to the energy of wholeness, not to the energy of lack. When you emanate the vibration of someone who is complete within themselves, you don't attract someone to complete you. You attract someone who complements your fullness. That difference changes everything. If lately you've caught yourself enjoying activities alone without that pang of sadness or anxiety, if you found yourself thinking that your life has meaning and purpose even without a romantic partner, pay close attention because your psyche is preparing the ground for something extraordinary. The second sign has to do with your dreams, and here I need you to pay special attention, because this is where most people miss crucial messages from their unconscious. Jung devoted much of his career to the analysis of dreams because he understood that they are the soul's direct language, encrypted messages from our deepest self. When your soulmate is about to enter your life, your dream world begins to change in very specific ways. You start having recurring dreams about encounters, bridges, doors opening, paths converging, or figures whose faces you can't clearly see, but you feel are profoundly important. Jung explicó que estos símbolos no son aleatorios. The bridge in dreams represents the transition between two states of consciousness or two phases of your life. Doors symbolize new opportunities and thresholds you're about to cross. Intersecting paths represent the point where your destiny is ready to intertwine with someone else's. But there's something even more specific that Jung noticed in his years of working with patients. When someone is about to find a deep connection, they frequently dream of water. Not just any water, but moving water, rivers, waterfalls, oceans with waves rolling toward the shore. In Jungian psychology, water represents the collective unconscious, that dimension of the psyche we all share and where all souls are connected. When you dream of water moving toward you, it is your unconscious telling you that something from that deep dimension is emerging into your conscious life. You might also start dreaming of meetings or reunions, even with people you don't know in real life. These dreams have a particular quality. They feel more vivid than normal dreams, and you wake with a sense of nostalgia or longing you can't explain, as if you just remembered something you'd forgotten long ago. Jung llamó a estos ecos del yo, momentos cuando tu yo profundo te está mostrando posibilidades que están tomando forma en el reino de las probabilidades before materializing in physical reality. Now we come to the third sign, and this is one you're probably already experiencing but have been interpreting incorrectly. You begin to notice synchronicities with unusual frequency. Synchronicity was one of Jung's favorite concepts, something he studied obsessively for years, and that many scientists of his time considered too mystical. But Jung wasn't a baseless mystic. He was a rigorous scientist who dared to explore phenomena others ignored. Sincronicidad se refiere a coincidencias significativas que no pueden explicarse por causa y efecto normales. It's when you think of someone and that person calls seconds later. It's when you need to hear certain words and you turn on the radio just as they're being said. It's when you see the same number again and again, or encounter the same symbol in different places without seeking it. Jung entendió que estas sincronías no son accidentes aleatorios, sino evidencia de que tu psique está alineándose con patrones más grandes en el universo. When your soulmate is near, the universe begins to send confirmations, small winks that say, you're on the right path, stay alert, something important is approaching. You might start seeing happy couples everywhere in ways you didn't notice before. You might hear the same song about love in multiple different places. You might find books, movies, or conversations that all point to the same theme of deep connection and meaningful relationships. Many people dismiss these experiences as the mind playing tricks, but Jung taught us something different. Él enseñó que cuando comenzamos a prestar atención a estas sincronicidades, cuando las reconocemos y las valoramos, amplificamos nuestra capacidad para recibir lo que universe is trying to bring us. It's like tuning a radio frequency. The waves were always there, but only when you adjust the dial correctly can you hear the music clearly. Sincronicidades son como tu inconsciente te dice que estás afinado a la frecuencia correcta. The fourth sign involves a dramatic shift in your energy patterns, and this is something Jung repeatedly observed in his patients. Right before something significant enters our lives, we experience what he called a mobilization of psychic libido. I'm not talking about libido in the simplified sexual sense, but in the full Jungian sense, as vital energy, the inner fire that drives us to create, explore, and connect. Suddenly, you feel an inexplicable impulse to improve aspects of your life. Perhaps you finally decide to organize your living space, get rid of old things you've been storing for years, or change your appearance in ways that reflect your truer self. You feel an urgent need to close cycles, finish incomplete projects, have difficult conversations you've been postponing, forgive situations from the past you were still carrying. This isn't procrastination or avoidance. It's your psyche making space, cleaning the emotional and energetic house because it knows a very important guest will soon arrive. Jung entendió que no podemos recibir lo nuevo si nuestras manos todavía se aferran al viejo. We can invite a deep connection if our heart is still full of resentments, unhealed pains, and toxic attachments from the past. So your psyche, in its infinite wisdom, begins this cleansing process. And the fascinating part is that you don't need to force it. It's not about making a list and forcing yourself to do it all. When it truly is your soul preparing, you'll feel a natural, almost irresistible impulse to make these changes. It's like cleaning your house before someone special comes over. You don't do it out of obligation, but because you genuinely want that person to see your space at its best. The same thing happens internally. Your soul is preparing its best version to receive the connection that's approaching. Now we arrive at the fifth sign, and it's so subtle that most people completely overlook it. You start to feel a strange familiarity with places or situations you've never experienced before. Jung habló extensamente sobre arquetipos y el inconsciente colectivo, esa capa profunda de la psique que no es personal, sino compartida por toda la humanidad. Within this collective unconscious, there are patterns of experience, emotional and spiritual templates that we all carry within us. One of these archetypes is the sacred encounter, the moment when two souls recognize something profound in each other. Your psyche knows this pattern even if you've never consciously experienced it. So when that moment draws near, you begin to feel its echoes. You might be in a completely new place and feel an overwhelming sense of déjà vu, not the superficial, "I've seen this before," but a deep feeling that this place, this moment, is significant in ways you can't explain. You might feel like you're waiting for someone without knowing exactly who. You might look at certain places, a cafe, a park, a specific corner, and feel a strange resonance, as if something important were going to happen there. Jung explicó esto como tu psique leyendo las probabilidades del campo cuántico de la realidad. It sounds esoteric, but what Jung was describing is that our psyche can perceive patterns our conscious mind cannot yet process. It's like how some animals can sense an earthquake before it happens. It's not magic. It's sensitivity to subtle signals. Your soul is tuned to frequencies your rational mind hasn't yet grasped, and these sensations of familiarity with the unknown are evidence of that tuning. If lately you've been surprised by the feeling that something important is about to happen without any logical reason, if you felt that inexplicable anticipation in your chest as if you were waiting for important news that hasn't yet arrived, pay attention. Your unconscious is receiving information your conscious mind can't fully decode yet. The sixth sign is deeply transformative and has to do with your relationship to your own emotional wounds. Jung was a master at understanding that our deepest wounds, when worked with consciously, become our greatest strengths. Él llamó a este proceso la integración de la sombra. The shadow, in Jungian terms, isn't something evil or bad. It's simply all those parts of ourselves we've rejected, denied, or hidden because we were taught they weren't acceptable. When your soulmate is approaching, something very specific begins to happen with your wounds. Instead of running from them, instead of burying them under distractions or denial, you feel a new courage to face them head on. It's not a painful process in a masochistic sense, but one of deep understanding. You start to see how your most difficult experiences have sculpted your character, how your darkest moments have taught you compassion, how your failures have given you wisdom success never could. And here's the crucial part. When you do this integrative work, when you stop seeing your wounds as defects and begin to see them as part of your único relato, algo cambia en tu energía. You stop looking for someone to rescue you and become available for someone with whom to co-create. Jung entendió que las relaciones más profundas no ocurren entre dos personas que necesitan a cada una para sentirse completas, sino entre dos personas que tienen each done the work to become whole individually and now choose to share that wholeness. When you begin to feel genuine gratitude for your path, including the hard parts, when you can talk about your past experiences without bitterness or victimhood, but with the wisdom of someone who has learned valuable lessons, you're emitting a completely different frequency. You're telling the universe, I'm ready for a mature connection, one between two whole people, not two halves seeking to be made whole. And the universe responds to that call in ways you can't anticipate, but that you will recognize when they happen. Finally, we arrive at the seventh sign, and this is perhaps the most powerful of all because it involves a transformation in how you perceive the very concept of love. Jung habló de diferentes etapas de conciencia, niveles de despertar, donde nuestra comprensión de la vida se expande en dimensiones más profundas. In the early stages, we see love as something we need in order to feel worthy, as external validation of our value. In intermediate stages, we see love as companionship and comfort, which is better, but still limited. But there is a deeper stage Jung called individuated love, where you recognize that the true purpose of a profound connection is not simply to make you happy or comfortable, but to help you become the most complete and authentic version of yourself. When this understanding begins to dawn in your awareness, when you start to see that true love is not possession but mutual liberation, not dependence but conscious interdependence, not losing yourself in another, but finding yourself more deeply through another, something fundamental changes in you. You're no longer looking for someone who ticks off a list of superficial requirements. You're no longer chasing a romantic fantasy based on what movies and songs told you love should be. Instead, you develop an almost crystalline clarity about the kind of connection you truly want to create. It's not about physical traits or external achievements, but about qualities of the soul, emotional resonance, alignment of core values, mutual capacity for growth. And the fascinating part is that when you reach this clarity, when you know in your heart what kind of love you are available to receive and to give, the universe can finally bring it to you, because now you would recognize that person when they appear. Before, that person might have been right in front of you and you wouldn't have seen them because you were looking with the wrong eyes, seeking the wrong things. But now your eyes are open in a new way. You're seeing with the eyes of the soul, not just the eyes of the ego, and that difference changes absolutely everything. Jung enseñó algo profundo que muchas personas malinterpretan sobre el concepto del alma gemela. It's not that there is a single perfect person for you in the whole world, and that if you don't find them, you're doomed to be alone. That's a romantic but impractical interpretation. What Jung suggested was far more sophisticated and at the same time more hopeful. There are people with whom we can reach such deep levels of resonance that the relationship becomes a catalyst for our most profound transformation. These people act as mirrors for our most authentic self, reflecting not only who we are, but also who we can become. The connection with them feels different because it's not based on projections or fantasies, but on a mutual recognition of something real and deep. And here's the beautiful part. You can't force this kind of connection. You can't manipulate it into happening. You can't rush it with techniques or strategies. The only thing you can do is prepare yourself, become the person who is ready to receive it, and then trust that the universe has its own perfect timing for these encounters. These 7 signs we've explored are not superstitions or magical thinking. They are careful observations of patterns Jung noticed over decades of deep work with the human psyche. They are markers along the path indicating that you are going through the individuation process, that you are becoming who you truly are, and that this transformation is creating the internal conditions necessary for a deep connection to blossom in your life. Peace with your solitude is not resignation, it is emotional maturity. Symbolic dreams are not meaningless fantasies, they are messages from your unconscious. Synchronicities are not random coincidences, they are evidence that you are aligned with larger flows of energy. The urge to clean and close cycles is not procrastination, it is preparation. Familiarity with the unknown is not imagination, it is intuition. The integration of your wounds is not weakness, it is strength. And the transformation of your understanding of love is not cynicism, it is wisdom. So if you're experiencing one or several of these signs, take a deep breath and realize what is truly happening. You're not wasting time. You're not being left behind while others find love. There is nothing wrong with you because you haven't yet found that deep connection. What's happening is far more beautiful and meaningful. You are becoming the person who is ready to co-create the kind of love your soul truly longs for, not the superficial love your ego thinks it wants, but the deep, transforming love your spirit knows you need for your next level of evolution. And that process of becoming that person is exactly what draws that connection into your life. It's not magic, It's perfect synchronization between your inner reality and your outer reality, something Jung devoted his life to understanding and that you can now consciously apply on your own path. Every day you work to know yourself more deeply. Every moment you devote to healing your wounds with compassion instead of judgment. Every time you choose authenticity over external approval. Every instant you practice being whole within yourself instead of desperately seeking someone to complete you. You move closer to that encounter your soul already knows is written in your destiny. No porque el universo tiene un plan rígido que no puedes cambiar, sino porque estás creando las condiciones internas que hacen que ese encuentro no solo sea posible, sino inevitable. You are becoming a magnet for exactly the kind of love you deserve, the kind of love that will help you flourish instead of wither, that will expand you instead of limit you, the kind of love Jung understood to be the true purpose of these deep connections between souls. So keep going with this work. Keep paying attention to these signs. Keep trusting the process, even when your rational mind tells you you're being naive. Your soul knows something your mind is still learning, that everything is happening exactly as it should, and that the person who will resonate with the deepest truth of who you are is already on their way to you, guided toward you by the same mysterious forces that are preparing you to receive them.